everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the Imposter Talks. And today we have Dr. Neetika Modi, a dental surgeon and an author, and a lot of other titles to her wings. Welcome, Neetika, for your Imposter Talks episode, and I'm really glad that you are here today.
Thank you, Naghma. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. I would like to start the entire conversation, I think, with a very cliche question that you might keep hearing from everybody that you can think of. You're a dental surgeon and you're an author. How was this? How did this happen? Like, what is the connection? What is in it that, how is it that a doctor, a surgeon that too, actually ended up becoming an author? Can you please take me to your, through your journey?
Sure. So, I'm not defined by just my profession. There's a lot more to me than just being a dentist. And that's with each one of us. However, I like to believe that the frontal cortex on my right side is a bit more active because that's where creativity stems from. And I enjoy creating with my fingers and my hands, whether it's making a new smile on a patient's face, or painting, or writing, or baking. Anything which requires some form of creativity, I just take to it. And writing was something I pursued as a passion throughout my childhood days. I used to write for myself, for my diary. You know, hum un zamano ki baat kar rahe hain in the 70s, where we all kept a diary. The minute I became 12 or 13, you know, it became like we have to have a diary with a little bit of a lock, a small lock. So we come from that generation where we believed that our thoughts remained with us in a book, and we used to lock it up, far removed from the Insta generation where whatever you think is out for the world to consume. So yeah, writing a diary every day was a very good way towards self-reading, towards self-analysis, and towards self-growth.
I agree with that.
And so I used to do that. And then, of course, I was all the time, I was telling someone today that I used to consume around 3 books in a week. I was a constant reader. So I kept reading. And when, in fact, the time came for me to choose what field to go into, my father was pretty shocked that I wanted to choose science. He was like, you should just write, or you should just, take up painting, or why not go in and do something like interior decoration or architecture? Kyun karna itna sab? Why study so much?
Randomly thought if you would be an art student and not science.
Yeah. But it is now being understood by the American universities that we can't define our mind into one space. So they have collaborative lectures today for the students of today. And I'm so happy that that is happening in the world today because, our life, our mind, our brain, all of this is constantly growing. The plasticity of the brain is molding and changing.
Yeah.
And what I was at 20 is very different than what I am today.
Of course.
So we're picking up things from our environment, from our world. And what better way to put it than write about it?
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. There's a lot of information for my mind to process, but at the same time, that's a great way of putting at it. I can see clearly how much you love writing. You can make the words that you were explaining itself. I can really, really, really feel that vibrations from you that, yeah, you will really enjoy and love writing. So is Antim, your book, a byproduct of all your passion towards writing, or was there a particular message or topic that you particularly wanted to bring out to the public?
So when I began writing this particular book, which was almost 12 years back, one wasn't looking at the final outcome. I was just writing because I thought writing is a big catharsis. Writing, most of the authors, when you talk to them, you'll hear them say the same thing, that they took to writing when they were dealing with some kind of pain, because nothing kind of, gives you a better satisfaction than putting down your thoughts on paper. So I was dealing with personal loss some years back, 25 years back, when I lost my father. And nobody around me had that kind of answers to the questions, deeper questions about, when you're younger, it's a lot about me. Why did this happen to me? Why did we have to go through this? And that's when I took to the Bhagavad Gita and started reading it. My grandmother always read it at home, but I started reading it much later, and in my 20s, if that's late for you. But the more I read the Gita, the more the inquisitiveness in me for the life beyond what we see. And I was studying quantum physics, I was a medical student, so I was beginning to have a lot of questions where I felt that, most of us do live our lives with blinkers on, and we believe only that what our eyes see. So when I was writing, it was about a world where many different planes of existence can cohabit the same space at the same time. And there were days when I loved what I wrote, and there were days when I was just staring up the pages. I was like, no. So it was a gradual process, and I definitely wanted to retell the stories from our great epics in a way which the generation of today would be able to understand, which I would be able to, read out to my boys. At that point, they were much younger. So there was so much from our epics, which was an every night time tale that I told my children. So today, I'm very proud to say that both the boys will be able to talk of any of the characters from the Mahabharata or Ramayana, because they've been steeped with the Indian culture. That is something that I've done. I'm glad that I've been able to raise 2 boys at home and a third older one who knows enough about, and are proud of being Indians. I think we're so blessed to have been born in this country and to have access to the kind of knowledge that we have. It's just that we are so consumed by the West. We watch the Western world, and the internet and the world becoming small has just led us to somewhere shed off all the things that we had and not look at it the way we should, with pride. So I thought, not when I started writing, but when the book was taking shape, I thought that if I have to put this out to the world, it has to be in a way and in a format that the younger generation consumes it and they enjoy it. So Antim is a story set in today, in contemporary today, set across the world, because all of us are global citizens. We are all roaming around. And so it's set in contemporary today, and it's about a family. It's about the twins who are the main characters in the book, and how they aided in their life by these Chiranjeevis, or these 8 immortals, who come into their life to prepare them for the task that they have been born into this world for. And through this, the Kalki avatar realizes that he's an avatar. He's born with all the 32 siddhis, because the Kalki avatar is going to be the most robust of all avatars with all the siddhis. But at every point, his gurus are trying to underplay it, diminish it, not let them know it. The twins as well as the Kalki avatars. So it's an interesting mix of stories from our past. I don't like to use the word mythology, but stories from our past blended with deep-rooted gyan from our saints and our gurus, and told in a very new fabric.
Going back to our roots.
Yes.
Okay, I want to deep dive into some of the concepts, because we were talking about a lot of concepts, and our audience also, I think everybody will have a different level of understanding, right? So let's take a step back. So we were talking about the Kalki avatar. Can you tell me about the Kalki avatar, according to you?
So the Vishnu avatar. So let's go back a little bit further.
Yes.
So the Hindu philosophy believes in the divine trinity.
Yes.
Brahma, Mahesh, Vishnu. And Brahma being the father, and Maheshava being the ultimate soul.
Yeah.
It is Vishnu who's been given the duty of taking births again and again
Yeah.
in today's world.
Concept of creator,
The-
over and be destroyer.
Absolutely. But through every birth of Vishnu, a part of Shiva comes down with him through all his different avatars. Now, Vishnu, when asked who does he meditate on, meditates on Shiva. And Shiva, when asked who does he meditate on, meditates on Vishnu.
Yes.
So they have a very, very cordial, loving, symbiotic relationship with each other where they, feed each other, look after each other, and are there for each other. Keeping that thing in mind, the 10 avatars that have been written about, 9 of them have taken birth. Kalki avatar is the avatar which is yet to come. He's going to come in Ghor Kali Yuga, which I feel we've already reached. So the first avatar, the Matsya avatar, towards, as we have the Kalki avatar, are absolutely apt for the times that they were born in, or that they, that they presented themselves in. So again,
The yuga that
the yugas, yeah. So if we look at the Sanatan Dharma of the yoga philosophy, it starts from Satyug
Yes.
and it ends with Kali Yuga, and then it again starts. So Satyug, then we move to Treta Yuga, Dwarpa Yuga, and then Kali Yuga, and that's how it is. So we have in the Satyug 4 avatars. Then we have 3 avatars in the Treta Yuga. Then in Dwarpa Yuga we have 2, and in the Kali Yuga we have 1. So this is how we have 10 avatars. And like if you look at the Brahma's time and age, it's very different than how we look at time, age and space today.
Okay.
So there's a huge difference. So in one Brahma's day, there's a whole lot of thousands of years that go in. So I'm not going to get into that because that's a different topic altogether.
Yes.
But so this whole cycle has repeated itself a million times over already. And each yuga is comprising around 26,000 years.
Yeah.
So Kali Yuga is when it's called the golden age at Satyug, and this is the iron age. So we move from gold to silver to copper to iron. So like the metal is deteriorating, there's this one phrase in Vedanta which says Tat Tvam Asi,
Yes.
which means it's a Mahavakya, which means I am in the universe and the universe is in me. So as the metals are deteriorating, so is the core of the human deteriorating. So is the lifespan of the human deteriorating. So are the values, so are the sanskaras of the human deteriorating. So the Kalki avatar is going to be born in Ghor Kali Yuga. So he's going to have none of the characteristics of his previous Krishna avatar or Ram avatar. Or Parshuram avatar, the 6th avatar. He's going to be very well placed to take on the world as it is today.
Somebody like us. Okay.
Yeah, so that is what is so intriguing in the book, that we could, we're sitting at Chai Point here and discussing today, but what if Ved Vyas walks in a shirt and a pant and is talking to us? What would you ask him? So,
Who doesn't know? Okay. Like actually might be.
so these immortals.
Okay.
So now we come to, so the Kalki avatar takes birth because he has to stop the rot in society.
Okay.
And at this present day and age, Kali Yuga is being heralded or being owned by Kali. Kali is the lord, the nemesis of Kalki. But no, don't call him villain. No.
I mean, that Kali general concept that I would want you to deep dive here.
So, again, this is the thing about Kali Yuga, that there is no black or white.
Okay.
The shades of grey in all of us. All of us. Even the Kalki avatar would have some shades of grey because he's born into today's times. So, we हम लोग तो हमेशा यही बोलते हैं कि उसकी वो क्वालिटी को सुधारो जो सही नहीं है, उसको नहीं सुधारो. You look at that quality that is wrong in the person, not in the person.
Not the entire person. Okay.
But so Kali is very gifted. He's well brought up, well trained. He's got some amazing genes. I don't want to get into that. You have to read the book to know his. Yeah. And he's a former student of Shukracharya. So Guru Shukracharya has planned Kali from the time he was conceived. He's fed him knowledge. So Kali is very knowledgeable, like Ravan was.
Yes, I was about to tell that.
Yeah, so there is no one paint that you paint him with black and say he's a villain.
Okay.
No, there must be something really great about him also.
So, I mean, that's a perspective change for me also. Yeah.
Yeah, so Kali is getting into the minds of people.
Okay.
So we've seen in the past, we've had world wars where they're physical wars, they're, for territorial wars. Now we are seeing more recently, there's biological warfare going on, where you just contaminate the water and you can kill people. You contaminate the environment and people can die. Now, the thing about Kali Yuga is that you take away the buddhi from people's mind on what is wrong and what is wrong. Sad buddhi जो हमारे दिमाग में होती है कि ये करना है, ये नहीं करना है. That ability to understand right from wrong is gradually going away from people because Kali is working in their mind. So the sad buddhi to differentiate right from wrong is going away from people's mind. And this is where Kali is having a great field day because he's taking the power away. So people do not have any more access to the right, and gradually the books that spoke about the right thing, the books, the temples, all are being destroyed. They're all taken away. So it's an atmosphere of complete dark. And in an environment like this, even the world, the atmosphere changes. कि हमारा संस्कारों से संस्कार बनता है. So with those sanskars, what's happening is the sun also barely shines down on planet Earth. We're at that time and space. And because of that, the sun is actually a great provider of light, which takes care of viruses, bacteria to a great amount. Imagine having no sunlight coming in. You can imagine that what will happen to the world. So
a rainy day, a cloudy day,
is a depressing day. So that's an environment where viruses, diseases and the likes would spread. And people would have no clue. Like, जब आपको सद्बुद्धि ही नहीं है, जब को आपको पता ही नहीं the other way of life, everybody is moving. And in that space, Shukracharya uses his boon from Shiva of Maha, the Maha boon, which is called as the Mrit Sanjeevani mantra.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever been given that. So with that mantra, Shukracharya is bringing back the dead to life. So he's bringing back all the great dead villains. So it's from our past, and they're all there to stand against a mighty force of the Chiranjeevis. Now these 8 Chiranjeevis, they've been protecting our world and keeping it in balance. But gradually that is, slipping from them, the balance of the earth, because the rise of the evil or the dark is so much that the 8 Chiranjeevis who have lived on forever are finding it difficult, and that's when they fall down and they remind Vishnu of yada yada hi dharmasya, that it's time for you to take birth again. And that's when the Kalki avatar comes to planet Earth, and he's aided in his quest by these Chiranjeevis. So this is the first book of a trilogy, and it deals with the birth of the Kalki avatar and his growing years.
Yeah, that's going to be pleasant, I hope.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Now, again, taking one step back, because I just wanted to ensure that the concepts that you're talking about is pretty clear. The 8 Chiranjeevis. Can we dive a little bit into that?
Yeah.
Like, who are these 8 Chiranjeevis?
So, I'd like to divide our Chiranjeevis again. And I would say that we put few of them as our defense force. Okay? Quite like, India has a defense force. Every country has a defense force. So we have our defense force. These are the guys who reach any place where there's anything happening and they take care of it.
Okay.
So whether it's Hanumanji, Ashwathama, and we have Guru Kripacharya. These are our defense force. These guys are there at the minute that it's needed. And
Would actually
supporting these three is a sixth Vishnu avatar, which is Parshuram.
yes.
All four of them are Maharathis. They are all great, great warriors.
Yes.
So at any point where the world is going through anything, these guys are there preventing the complete decline. So they come in as the armed forces or security forces. So these are the four Chiranjeevis, like I said. Ashwathama, Hanuman, Guru Kripacharya, and we have Parshuram, four of them. Now, whenever there are wars and there are problems happening around the world, what is most needed? Money.
Yes.
It is money that drives war. It's money that drives crime. It's money that drives the capitalistic world that we are living in today. So there are two keepers. We call them as the fortune keepers of the world's money.
Okay, interesting.
And this is Mahabali. Mahabali, if we know, has been the Asura that ruled the three worlds.
Yes.
And he had the largest fortune of the world. And of course, today he's a fortune keeper. And the other person who's supporting him is Ravan's brother. Do you remember his name?
Yes.
Yes. It's Vibhishan. So So Vibhishan has been blessed with immortality by Sita Ma. She blessed him with immortality. So Vibhishan and Mahabali, these are our two fortune keepers of the world. Now,
Again, this is just me trying to craft the layman's language and understanding. You have treasure. There are two treasure keepers. One is Mahabali, one is Vibhishan, and both of them are supposedly to be living in the Patal Lok. Are they?
well, the earth has become worse than Patal Lok. So these are transcendental beings. They can be at any place at any time. And with immortality, they don't go back to they're changing their... So all 8 Chiranjeevis are masters of disguise.
Okay.
That's why I said if Vedvyas walks in here, you won't even be able to recognize him. You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So those are 6 of them.
Okay, yes.
And
We have 6 sorted out of which 2 of them are Asuras by birth.
yeah. Yeah. But blessed by the gods
Yes.
with immortality.
Yes, clearly a message that you can be, your work can be from anywhere, but ultimately it's what you do that defines.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we have our mental health keepers. Those are very needed in today's world. So our mental health keepers are the ones who are trying to keep that little sadbuddhi alive in a few. So they are, of course, Vedvyas, who's been the eternal storyteller for us forever. And he's a monk. He is the one who tries to, attract something right in our brain every now and then. And we have this my favorite immortal, Sage Markandeya. So Sage Markandeya is another. So these are our gurus. They take care of our being, our mind. See, biology gives us a brain, but life makes it a mind. So our today, our world, our vibrations, I have to tell you this, Naghma, that I believe that everything in this world is based on 3 things. Energy, vibration, and frequency. And frequency. Okay, that's it. So can you imagine that today we've learned how to tune in to the energy in the world and get in the signals on a small little device and be able to tune in and speak to someone across the globe with all of this. But do you know that if we are able to tune into our own vibrations and frequencies, the amount of energy and power we can all create?
Which ideally people keep suggesting meditation could be a G.
Meditation is the first way to kind of at least re-energize yourself with what's happening in the external world. So this is what the 2 sages keep trying to teach us. So these are our 8 Chiranjeevis.
So interesting. But that's really interesting. I mean, I've always heard about, I think that all of us, I mean, and a very, very, today's generation, basically, we kept hearing about the 8 or the 8 Immortals. But the way you put it, that we have 4 warriors who really protects us, there are 2 money treasure keepers.
Yeah, fortune keepers.
Yes, everything in the world today, the culprit of something running at the back is always money. And then we have 2 mental well-being keepers. Oh, that's a complete different take, but it makes more sense to me right now. I think just with this explanation, I'm able to understand why. Because I've always thought, why do we have immortals? Like, why is that story even there? What is the need for that? But I think now it's making a little bit of sense to me. Okay, great. Continuing from there.
So I believe that these 8 beings, these 8 super beings, which all of them have siddhis,
Yes.
far outbeat our Western superheroes.
I agree to that. Okay.
So I can openly say, if we ever had an Hanuman challenge with Superman, who do you think would win?
I am biased, but then I don't want to give out my answer, but then
So, our generation, the younger generation, has been so taken in by the way the Western society has placed their superheroes, and we're living in the Marvel world and all.
Yes.
But just think about the richness and the depth of stories that we have, and if we put it across in a way like they have done Avatar, so brilliantly made, but the crux of it, the ideal story of it, comes down from our Gita. So if we can take these and put it out to the children in a way where they would enjoy it, consume it, and also learn from it.
I think it's the power of marketing, because it's today why Avengers, Marvels, all of these are very popular, because it's just marketed so well. Every child knows about.
Yeah, see, it's marketing, but I also think it's the art of storytelling.
Art of storytelling.
See, today's world where everything is more about the packaging than the content. So we have to tell the story in a way that would grip new flavors, but the same old essence.
But we are not telling our story enough.
Absolutely.
We are not tipping back to our own culture, our superhero stories, our own. Yeah, there is a lot. I think that is a great point to think upon. For everybody, for that matter, I'm glad a lot of books like Antim is actually coming out, where there is a different interesting take, where we are able to grasp onto the essence, but in a very interesting way, so that I don't feel it's very boring and I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Now coming back to our topic, you were talking about these, and you told that Kalki Avatar is born with all the 32 siddhis. So 32 is the number.
Yes.
Right? What are these siddhis? Like, what could it be? Like, do we have siddhis? I mean, I'm interested to know that also.
So we coming from that same consciousness, so we all do, but the layers of life the layers of birth after birth have completely, buried them in us. But a Siddha Purush is someone who has realized who he is and where he's coming from. He has we all have gun and a gun, we all are born with those. And a lot of this is predetermined, is predestined. I really, though we all talk of free will, I think free will is just given to us as a little toy, okay, go do a little bit with it. But there is really not much concept of free will in my head, because I think when there's consciousness and when everything is predestined, we may be given free will for small things, that, okay, you're going on a road and you reach the fork of the road, you take a left or right. The outcome of that is already predestined. So that way your mind will be pushed to think towards the left. I mean, very often I wonder, when we read up about the brain and consciousness, then what is it in our mind that's making us choose that right and not the left? Okay. So it's deeper thinking, it's reading up a lot about consciousness that makes you think about these things. And Antim is got a lot of information stacked in those 340 pages of it. I would tell all the readers that go slow with reading it, so that you chew on it, you masticate it, and you get the essence of it. You enjoy.
Understand what's there for you. Like read between the lines, maybe.
A lot, because sometimes you have to go back to a previous chapter, because if you've read it some days back, a few weeks back, and then you're reading the next chapter, you may feel it a little difficult. I must warn you, it's not an easy read.
Okay.
It's not a casual read.
Yeah.
So when you have time and you want to dedicate a few minutes or a few hours to reading something, that's when you come to this book.
Interesting. Okay, now I really want to talk some bit about the book itself. And first and foremost of that would be the book cover.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful book cover. Can you, but what does the book cover mean? There's a lot of things like you'll see. I mean, I can see, take a book here.
Yeah. So, if I have to explain this is the being, the human, which is central to this universal consciousness. Okay? Like I said, Tattvamasi, we are part of the universe and the universe is in us. So, we're all originating from the same space, and these are energies, frequencies, and vibrations which is going out together. At the same time, there's the biggest thing about the universe is that it's a paradox.
Okay.
Yeah, we live in a paradox. So whether there's day or night, there's fire or there's water, all of this coexists, cohabitates at the same time. We wouldn't understand the importance of light if there was no dark.
Of course.
Yeah, so we wouldn't understand the sense of goodness if there was nothing bad. We begin to value what we have only when we see what others don't have. Yeah, so this is this paradox in this universe. And somewhere in all of this, there is this supreme being, which we are showing with feathers, with, the Vishnu avatar. And if you can look, you'll see a Trishul out there. Very subtle.
Oh, yes.
But there's a Trishul out there.
I never noticed that. Okay.
And there is a...
No, instant.
Are you able to see this? and then there's this third eye. Shiva's third eye with the Trishul. Yeah. So, I'm really thankful to Om Books and their team for being able to create this kind of cover, just what I wanted to, put down a lot of information into the cover.
That is actually beautiful. I am now overwhelmed just thinking about the cover, because a lot of the detailing which you just explained right now, I mean, as a reader, by reading your book, of course, I enjoyed looking at the cover because it looked so beautiful, but I never really knew it held so much of meaning within this. Yeah, thank you for explaining that. Now, what is the plan with Antim? Like, how have your journey been like so far as a writer? You told me you took 12 years to write the book, right? How has your journey been like as a writer? And in future, what is your plan?
So Antim was a very, I was talking to you, I think, the other day and telling you that as an author, it's an amazing time when your book gets published and you come out, because you suddenly become an extrovert from being an introvert during your writing process. So when you're writing a book, you want to shut out noise, because you have enough going on in your mind space. I was living with those characters for 12 years, and so was my family, So everybody knew that this is happening in Rudra's life, and this is where Tarini is going to university, and this is what Parshuram is up to, and this is what Hanuman. So it was a regular conversation in the house. My mental health practitioner friends may think that I was probably losing it at that point, but I was so absorbed by my story and, what I was writing. So there were days I would just shut myself off in the mornings for those 2-3 hours where I would want no noise. I do believe in the process of creating the right environment when you want to write. So I worked on one particular space, one desk, which was my writing desk. I put on the kind of mantras and music that I wanted that would just create the atmosphere. I definitely believe that you need the right atmosphere to be able to have your creativity flow. And I think somewhere for a woman who's also working It's a lot more difficult to write than for a man because, we tend to multitask. We want to do many things, but writing has to be singular focus. So, in between the ghantis of the doorbell and the CTs of the pressure cooker, writing can become quite a challenge.
We are putting in countries of the roadbell and cities of the pressure cooker.
Yeah, no man in the house looks into those things. It's normally the woman who's looking after that. And imagine you're writing something really deep and suddenly you have to go and answer a call of someone or. So I had decided that my writing has to be in the hours when I will not be disturbed. So Brahma Muhurat, luckily I was always a morning person. Even during medical school, I would sleep and get up at around 3 o'clock and study. So that helped that I was a morning person. I could wake up late and get those 3 hours of this world where the rest of the world is asleep. So yeah, especially the boys at home, when they were awake, it was a chaos at home. So I wrote in the morning, complete peace. Writing for me, very often, like you, people ask me, what do you expect from Antim? And मैं तो बस यही कहूँगी कि Antim has done what it had to do already for me. It's transformed me as a human.
Beautiful. Okay.
So it's made me who I am. It's been a self journey where there's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of understanding. There's been a lot of change in me. So the Neetika that stands in 2024 was a very different Neetika in 2010. So I feel it's been transformative. It's done what it had to do. It's made me understand and value things a lot more. And it's been a very, very positive, happy thing that I embarked on, a positive journey that I embarked on. Having said that, the little bit of the capitalistic world in me, because we live in this world,
Of course we do.
would want me to leave a little bit of a legacy behind. Now, both the boys definitely don't want anything to do with dentistry. So there was no leaving legacy behind there. So I thought writing a book will probably remain much longer than I do or my children do. The book would remain much longer. So leaving a legacy. And I am working with my publisher, Om Book, and Mr. Ajay Mago very closely to see that this reaches as many people as it can in many different formats. And we also have versions of the book in different Indian languages so that a lot more of the Indian fabric can consume it.
Well, that's really beautiful because when I asked you about the journey and you told me that it has done what you thought it would do for you, I was just expecting that you would tell about it sold this many number of copies and everything, but you told me about a transformative story. It's really beautiful. That's something I really look up to also. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that. That's a beautiful message for people, I think. But then again, if I have to ask you the question, what would be that one message that you would want to give to our audience? It could be anybody who might just pick up the book, or it could be a writer, it could be anybody. What is that one message you would want to give to people?
I think we should move away from worrying to happiness. We should move away from criticism and hatred towards love. And we should move away from complaining towards doing. And every day in my everyday life, I see people who have such a great smile on their face and they're so positive in spite of what life has dealt them. And they're my source of learning and journey. I have this amazing receptionist at the clinic, Jennifer. She, again, is such a positive person. So I think each one of us should learn to be a lot more thankful and living in gratitude. So if there's one thing, grace flows in more when we have more gratitude. So live in gratitude.
That was a beautiful message that you shared with the people today. And I'm really looking forward to finishing reading Antim. I've started reading it because I was very excited. I was reading an author. I've had a conversation. There's a lot of topic in there that personally connects with me on. So I was really looking forward to But then I couldn't finish reading it. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But I want to take it slow. I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to take it slow. I'm going to read the book. And I really hope the messages that you're trying to convey in this book reach a lot of people. Because how we have portrayed everything, the message, how we should be going back to our roots, what we could learn from there. I mean, those have been beautiful. And I really wishing you all the best, wishing Antim all the best, that it really reaches a bigger crowd, because it deserves to.
Thank
And
you
it should be. It should be.
Thank you so much.
Bigger audience. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Neetika, for being part of our first.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you.